It's a beautiful morning right here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. Welcome to Atlantic Television Network. This is ATN Blowout, and ATN Blowout is a syndicated live program that features chit-chatting and conversations on very special interest topics. And we'll also get our experts' opinion and stakeholders' analysis on all of these stories that we'll be looking at. Let's take a quick look on the stories. We'll look at this one from River State, talking about the nationwide strike, how it paralyzes business activities in the state. And in Abia State, governance must be devoid of politics, stated by OT. And on minimum wage, federal government offers above 60,000 naira. And on naira abuse, EFCC offers whistleblowers a reward of 5%. And on businesses, manufacturers to benefit from loans, says Edu. And we'll take a look at this one from electricity, where we are working on restoring the national grid, says TCN. We'll go on a short timeout and then we'll introduce our guests and delve straight into the stories after the break. Please don't go anywhere.
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask, oh?
Because this road where they see, so it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so no day. Light usa. The infrastructure it can't turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, well everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No verse. Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
Their behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract we will do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old since. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap am.
Beg. See, you know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I go pay that one. You remember say me and I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, they pay you money now. We don't they beg caretaker? Why would they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time? Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation, with
Thank you so much for staying right here with us on Atlantic Television Network. This is ATN Blowout, and we'll delve straight to our stories after we've told you that we have seated in the studio with us our guest, Omehe Victor, and he is a legal practitioner and he's here to talk about the development of Nigeria. Good morning, Victor. Welcome to Atlantic Blowout.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
All right, let's do this. Straight to the very first story. Business activities were paralyzed in Port Harcourt River State capital on Monday following the declaration of strike action by the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC. Now, in most of the banks monitored in the state capital, customers were locked out of the gates as staff of the banks were seen loitering about the premises aimlessly. And some new generation banks on the ever-busy Port Harcourt-Aba Express Road, Ikwere Road, Abloma, and Ikwere were conspicuously shut down by businesses or for business. In some schools, students were asked to go home as teachers stayed away in compliance with the strike. And then also the state secretariat was a ghost of itself as workers refused to turn up for work in obedience to the strike action that was announced by the labor bodies to compel the federal government to agree with the new minimum wage. And then we moved straight to filling stations. Some fill stations monitored in the city were not left out as commuters struggled to buy fuel from the black markets, with a liter of the product going as high as 1,200 naira. And yet, with all of these challenges, we spoke to some people right here, residents of River State, residents of Port Harcourt, and they were in support of the strike. I don't care what I'm going through right now, as long as what we want is done, as long as this hardship and all of these things going on can stop. If we're going to suffer for a few days, then that is fine. Those were the exact words of some of the people I got to speak to yesterday. But let's get to hear from Omehe Victor. He's also a resident of River State. How were you affected by this strike yesterday?
The strike yesterday affected, I think, almost everybody who, lives in River State. Yesterday, I went to the office hoping that I was going to go to the court.
Okay.
And then when I went to the office to pick up the file, the secretary told me, "Bah, there's no work today." And I asked her what happened. She said that there's strike. Although on Sunday night, I read a letter written by the Attorney General of the Federation, Latif Fabemi SAN, to the Labour Union. And then in the letter, he raised certain issues. That letter was over 3 to 4 pages. And I looked at the date. I said, are we expecting strike? But because I saw the letter on Sunday, so I felt that I couldn't have written the letter on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So I looked at the date. I said, we're expecting strike. So when I now, went through the issues raised in the letter, so I felt that probably the strike may not be that quick, because he was saying that there was no point in labor embarking on strike when they were still on the negotiation table, and that labor, by law, by the Trade Dispute Act, that labor was supposed to give the federal government 15 days a notice of strike as required by law, the Trade Dispute Act. So I was expecting that, okay, if labor sees the letter, labor will now say, okay, there's an omission somewhere, that is the strike notice. Okay, let us go back and give the strike notice before we can now embark on the strike.
They never actually gave the strike notice.
But the Attorney General was saying that there was no strike notice. So I felt all of this, before all of this would have resolved, that people would have been able to put themselves together. So I didn't expect that
to happen today.
The conversation
the conversation has actually been on for some time now. It has been a back and forth situation between Labour and the federal government. They've had meetings where Labour had to walk away. They had their own amount, 615,000 naira. You have to pay as minimum wage, and then down to 400 and something thousand naira. And then the government, has come up with their own price and then beat it down, taking it up, and it has been a back and forth conversation. And Nigerians already knew, Labour, when they tell you they're going on strike, if you don't meet their demands, they will go on strike.
Yes. That is because labor had been played by government most times, or let me say that it's because labor have realized themselves recently. You know, over time, what we have seen is we are striking tomorrow. At midnight, there will be a meeting. And then the following day, they will tell you the strike is what cancelled. So people, I didn't believe that as of yesterday.
So you thought it was going to be such
as
a
usual,
situation
as usual. So, but they talking about the effects. I think I felt bad yesterday because some of the things I was supposed to do, I couldn't do them. I have two matters I ought to file in court, and one is a fundamental right matter that I ordinarily have to file. I've already filed at the Federal High Court. So, but I needed to go for a date to be fixed on the day that the hearing will be coming, so that the bailiff could go and serve the office of the Inspector General of Police, Zone 16, Bayelsa. So, but because of the strike, the bailiff could not effect service. And now my client has been calling that the police people are still coming. So you see that one of the effects now is the enforcement of fundamental rights. We have to be halted. There will be abuse of rights because the court, the judicial system is not in motion. The court is not working. So anybody that police arrests within this period, in the local police say, oh, you're old. If they arrest you, definitely there's going to be abuse of fundamental rights of citizens of this country. And you cannot be using strike, which is also a constitutional and democratic,
of course,
which is constitutional and democratic, to also breach the constitution. Fundamental rights is part of the constitution. In fact, fundamental rights, as enshrined in chapter 4 of the constitution, is the constitution itself. Without it, we cannot say that the nation is democratic or constitutional. So, if we continue in this strike, a lot of persons will be languishing in the custody of the Nigerian police.
Talking about fundamental rights and some basic needs of Nigerians.
I'm coming. Some basic needs. Can you talk about basic needs when you are confined within a small cell for as much number of days as the strike will last? If you are in cell, is it not somebody that has freedom that can talk about basic needs? What we are saying is labor should also consider the right of individual, the advantage that the Nigerian police members may take on the innocent citizens of this country as a result of this strike. I don't know if that has...
Should that be labor being the ones who should consider now? Or should it be the federal government considering their request to put the strike to an end to avoid some of these effects we're having in Nigeria?
Yes, the consideration should be both labor, government, and the citizens of this country. Why am I saying so? They say they are signing a tripartite agreement. What is tripartite? I'm asking you. Is it not about three persons coming together to agree on a thing? Now, if labor has proposed their own position for amicable resolution of the strike, federal government will also have to shift grants and consider. Or if federal government has proposed, the labor union will also have to shift grants. Because just like you rightly noted earlier, that when two elephants fight, who suffers? It's you and I. We are the grass here. Labor is one big elephant. Federal government is one big elephant. And who are the grasses that ought to suffer the strong foot of the struggle of the elephant? It is you and I. Now, for somebody who has just 50,000 naira in his account that he or she would want to use to feed his family, and then there's no bank, assuming that you have an ATM card that is defective and you need to go to bank to rectify the issue, how do you sort out yourself?
How many people even have that amount in their accounts
now?
People earning 30,000 naira monthly. One of these days, one of my guests said to make a rich pot of soup and a pot of stew, you need like 50,000 naira.
That is it.
And that is way above somebody's salary. So how many people even have that amount right now in their account to want to rush to the bank?
Even if somebody does not have up to 50K, maybe you have the least 10,000 naira you need to use to sort out your problem. And there's every necessity for you to go to bank. How do you go about
So
it?
it looks like looking at the effect of the strike. Now, you know, I stated earlier when I was telling you about the people that I spoke to yesterday about the effect of the strike on them and how they are looking at it. It looks like Nigerians are in for this. And it doesn't even look like they care about the effects right now, what is going on. From the people I spoke to anyway.
Nigerians are not in for this.
Okay.
Do you know why I said so?
Tell us.
It's only those who are under the employment of government and private sectors who are also looking for a way to push for betterment of their welfare and their workplace that will be in for this. For a private individuals or for a private individual like me that I don't have any dealings with government or employment with any organizations, basically I survive on my private practice. Now, you cannot tell me that I'll be in for it because I survive based on what I work out for myself. So if I have things to do in court, I have an appearance to make in court, and through my appearance, I earn my practicing fee. I earn my both practicing fee and my appearance fee, which my appearance fee can give me a pot of soup. And then I'm not going to court to make the appearance.
So your appearance fee is affected?
It's affected. My survivor, my chances of survival is completely affected. Now, but for those who are civil servants, they will be completely in for it because they are asking for welfare. Okay. They are asking for care, for them to be taken care of by those who are in government. And of course, it is their right. Just like what somebody noted, that strike is a democratic principle. That it's only through strike that the welfare of people, the welfare of those who are under the employment of government or whosoever could be looked into. That without strike, that nobody under employment can survive adequately, because it's only through strike that you can disarm, and a kind of you can disarm and humble your employer.
Okay, so let me tell you now how this is going to affect you, right? You have stated that you're not one of the government workers, so this is not going to affect you. Let's not forget that Labour are also, aside the minimum wage, they're also asking for the electricity. There was an electricity tariff hike. And most of us use electricity. I don't want to say all now because it will shock you.
Yes.
But most of us use electricity. So if that tariff hike is taken care of, if the amount is brought down, it's definitely going to affect you and I.
Okay, now let me say something in that aspect. You see, when you are doing something, try as much as possible to confine yourself within the scope of what you are doing. Don't travel outside the circle of where you are supposed to be. Does Labour has the power to begin to go on strike on the issues of taxations? Because what you are saying now boils down to taxation. Payment of electricity bills is taxation. And you and I know that in 2004, this issue came up in 2004 when Adams Oshomole was the chairman of Nigerian Labour Congress. When Adams Oshomole was the chairman of Nigerian Labour Congress, and in 2004, the labor union went on strike on the ground that the tariffs or tax that was imposed within that period, I cannot correctly remember that particular tax, but that was what that case was all about. That Nigerian government should bring down the tax. That it was high. I think the tax was about 1.5 something there about. Now they went to court. The court said that issue of taxation, how government should carry out their taxing, is not within the provisions of the Labour Act, because labor is the creation of law provided in the Labour Act and Trade Union Dispute Act. So for Labour to now come and begin to talk about electricity tariffs, I don't really think it falls within their functions. That is the sole responsibility of government, to look at the how much we are paid, how much we are paying, I mean, as tax for electricity bills, and then they will bring it down. It's not the responsibility of labor by the authority of Federal Government of Nigeria versus Adams Oshomole, 2004. Go and look at that case. So I'm not speaking on behalf of government, but I'm trying to state it the way it is, and from my findings, how I feel it is. Labor is correct to embark on strike. Yes, I agree with you. But what are the reasons for embarking on strike? One, if you say labor is embarking on strike on the ground that the money paid to them as minimum wage is too small compared to the recent economic what is going on now in our economic war, I will agree with you, because it boils down to the welfare of labor, of workers. I don't know if you are with me. Now I'm talking about the issue of electricity bill. I have issues by that authority of Federal Government of Nigeria versus Adams Oshomole. Okay. I don't really think it's within the functions or powers of labor to embark on strike on that particular subject matter.
All right, let's take some time off right now. When we return, the conversation continues. Please stay with us. Don't go anywhere. More stories on our table.
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask, oh?
Because this road where they see, so it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so no day. Light outside. The infrastructure it can't turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, spoil everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
Now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
That behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently, make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract where we do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see...
We appreciate you for staying with us. Let's move straight to the next story now. This one's coming from Abia State. Abia State Governor Alex Otie said that the governance would be most impactful on the people's well-being if it is not mixed up with politics. Now, he stated this at the weekend during a state bouquet his government organized to celebrate the 76th birthday anniversary of the former Senate President, Senator Adolphus Wabara, who is the chairman, board of trustees of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Oti said that it has always been difficult for Nigerian politicians to differentiate between governance and politicking. Hence, they still play politics even after elections have been lost or won and government inaugurated. Now, according to him, immediately the results of an election is declared and government inaugurated, politics should cease as governance takes over. Now, he stated that governance should be devoid of partisanship and political affiliation, adding that whoever was elected into government is put there to serve everybody. If I build roads, retrofit our hospitals and remodel our schools, will members of any of these parties use it? He asked during, or adding that he was elected to serve everybody irrespective of their political leanings, right? So he's saying governance is different from politicking. So when you are elected to serve the people, focus on governance and not politicking. You agree to that statement?
Yes, I do.
So what would you say governance is?
I think Oti has given a summary of what governance is all about. He's correct in his assertion. And then I must commend Otis also, because within the few months that Oti has sat in Abia State as governor of Abia State, I think that he has actually initiated some tremendous and commendable projects that has in one way or the other added value to the life of Abians, and then also changed the narrative of governance in Abia State from what we used to know Abia State to be in the past. Now, when you talk about severing governance from politics and politics from governance, what that simply means is after election, after all the whole court that individuals who failed the elections and who feel aggrieved and who alleges that there were election malpractices in the whole thing, after all that is over, you come back and initiate projects that will benefit everybody. You take aside politics to say, because these people didn't vote for me, I will not do so project for them. Because I have political boss or members of APC live in so and so place, therefore there shouldn't be electricity, or so and so thing, I shouldn't do so and so thing for so and so reason. No, it's all about humbling yourself before the people, understanding that you are called to serve, understanding that as a leader, you are a leader to everyone and not a particular section of the people, understanding that the money that is meant for governance should be used for governance and not to sponsor political parties' programs. Understanding that the interest of your people, the interest of the state that you govern, stands as the topmost priority and cannot be subverted for whatsoever reason. That interest stands very tall above every other interest. So if we have a government that believes in the people, a government that believes that the welfare of the people is premium interference, such a government, we are talking about a government that has such notion, is a government that is ready to be accountable for their actions.
These are the things that we are told during manifestos, before elections. Oh, I'm going to place you first, and all of those promises that are usually lined up. So why does it seem like after the election, after somebody has come into power and the leadership position has been handed over to you, it then looks different from what we actually heard before the election?
Your question still boils down to what Oti is saying.
Yeah. So why do we have leaders who ply this?
Because we have people who ab initio we are never born as leaders.
Okay, so we have born leaders.
We have people who are born to lead.
Okay.
And we have people who maybe out of sycophancy, going close to people who are in government, they have to find their way in. They are not leaders. Because leadership is inborn. Leadership is quality. And quality is not purchased from the market. Quality is inborn. When you see somebody who has prepared himself to lead, you will know. For instance, I'm not trying to say that OT is the best, but I'm saying that OT appears, I'm not saying he is, but he appears to me and the general public to be somebody who has been born to lead and has understand over time that, look, I am a leader, and then let me prepare myself, and he has prepared himself over time. If you see people who have prepared themselves as born leaders, the administrations are quite different from the others. First of all, they are truthful. They admit to fault. They on time understand what they're supposed to do, and they do it without even asking you to tell them what to do or call it doing something for showmanship.
You have to be a born leader to know what you should do as a leader.
If you are not a born leader, you will end up as a political criminal.
Do you agree that some leaders are trained and not all leaders are born leaders?
If a leader who is trained is not trained because he does not have the qualities of a born leader or is not a born leader, the essence of the training is to grow that which is in him. I'm telling you the honest truth. For instance, we also have people who are born as criminals. Are you not aware? Okay, you are laughing. You are not aware.
Isn't it funny?
There are people.
There are people who are born leaders. There are people who are born as criminals.
As criminals.
Oh, really?
No matter what you do, no matter the environment they find themselves, no matter the training they have, they cannot change.
Wow.
It's innate in them.
So that's the problem of Nigeria.
That's the problem of Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
You see, let me tell you, Nigeria is a kind of a shallow or a shadow of governance from what we have over there in the Western countries. Now, when they go to the Western countries, for instance, recently I read from the news that Donald Trump has been found guilty and his case has been adjourned for sentencing. That is a country that means well. That is a country where you have people from the day they were born, they have desire to be in leadership. And from that day they realize that they are born to lead. They have been preparing themselves through reading, through living a good exemplary lives, and over time they emerged. Leadership is their principle, so they cannot renege from complying with that principle. When you have people like we have 80% of those who are in government in Nigeria who do not have principle, who do not understand what principle is all about in leadership, you have these kind of things we are seeing in Nigeria. Can you tell me that somebody who understands that the law that allows you to come in as a governor or a president from the United States of America will steal money from America or any other Western countries and come and
does it mean our law does not require high compliance?
Our laws require, but why we cannot comply is because leadership principles is not in us. Leadership is a principle.
So what happened to the checks and balances, and what happens to the law?
These are forget about these are laws.
Forget about the law.
I'm coming. Checks and balances is a law. It's a democratic tenet.
But that's what you referred to when you talked about. Hold on. That's what you referred to when you talked about the Western states, that they have the laws.
The point yes. I need you to appreciate. If you do not have leadership quality in you, you cannot develop the principle of responsibility. One common quality of a leader is that a leader is responsible at all points in time. If I have a principle that, look, I cannot steal this iPad. So even if there's a law that says don't steal iPad, I cannot steal iPad. But if I don't have that inborn principle of leadership to say I cannot steal, even if there's a law that says don't steal iPad, because I don't have it, I will steal iPad.
So what happened to the implementation of the laws when we have people who actually act out of character or act outside what the law requires?
Good. Now, the major problem, he said we will also talk about the problems of Nigeria. It's compliance. Enforcement and compliance is the major problem that we have in Nigeria.
Why? Why do we have that?
Let me shock you. We have enough laws in Nigeria to make Nigeria a better country and one of the best countries you can ever think of. we have enough laws. Have you asked yourself, the National Assembly, every day, they are sitting, they're enacting laws, they're enacting laws, they're enacting laws. What kind of law are they enacting? And what are they really, what do they really mean by enacting all these laws? Have you looked at the laws of the Federation, LFN? You have thousands of acts, legislations of parliament.
So what exactly is the problem?
Enforcement and compliance.
Why do we have enforcement as a
Because
problem when we have provisions for checks and balances and implementation?
Let me tell you why it's like that. We have corruption leading the charts. We have nepotism. We have ethnic chauvinisms. And we have bribery, which is also part of corruption. Now, for instance, you are in position. Let's assume that I'm the chairman of the EFCC. And then my brother from the Igbo angle, or from the Yoruba angle, or from the Hausa angle, assuming I'm from one of all these places, and then they bring you to me that you stole 20 billion naira from the coffers of the government, and I'm to investigate your case, and the prosecutor is from Igbo, and you and I are speaking Hausa.
So
and I'm coming,
tribe comes in.
Yes, and I have a reason to say, oh, why should my brother go to jail when we are speaking the same language? Is it because he's not from Igbo? That's why they are treating him this way. You have issues in prosecuting that person. Issues that ordinarily would be handled with clear conscience, in line with the provisions of the law, we wouldn't go straight. And that is where we have problem. Our level of ethnic chauvinisms, our level of ethnic attachment is too much. Now, the compliance, like I said, there are laws, thousands of laws, both the internationally, domestically, and the one every other laws. But there's no compliance, no enforcement and compliance. That is known.
So how do we solve this problem of compliance? Hold on, please. How do we solve this problem of compliance with our laws? Time and time again, we have heard this is the problem of Nigeria. Oh, we have laws. We have as much laws as we need. And then implementation. Even though the Constitution provides the sections or there are provisions for checks and balances to make sure that these laws are implemented.
Okay, now, thank you very much for that question. The law itself has provided means upon which it could be enforced.
Exactly.
The question is, even if the law, the issue is, even if the law has provided means upon which it could be enforced, the law cannot enforce itself. The law can only be enforced by humans and can only be obeyed by humans. Now, if the man who is at the helm of affairs over there, for instance, President Mohammed Bola Tinubu, I'm not using the word for instance because he's not the president, but there are other presidents. So assuming that the president is willing to enforce the law, and he says, look, even if you gave me money during my election, you lobbied, you bought me campaign vehicles and other things. Look, if you fail to do this, you will leave. I will prosecute you. You need somebody that is detached from personal interests. Somebody that is corruption free. And that's why I told you earlier that leadership is inborn. The grain of leadership or the seed of leadership that is in the individual is little, but training over time helps the leader. That the seed of leadership has been well brought up through training and personal principles. Was in charge of a NAFDAC. This Anambra woman, I cannot recall her name. Over time, you could see the record she was able to build in the agency before she died. So, if we want to comply with the law, then we have to be strict in implementing the law without favoritism, putting aside every ethnic attachment. I know him, let me go and give him some money, he takes money. You know that, okay, for instance, how can Nigeria go out from this vicious circle of corruption? You know that this particular police officer is corrupt, and you are using him to carry out bad deeds. Just it. Do you know that those who are in government, they are much more aware than the people they are leading? Are you aware? Those who are in government, they think ahead of time. You see, 2027 is coming up. The political gladiators of Nigeria have already carefully crafted how they will go about it. Even if you say we are not going to vote because of corruption, there's hike in price of fuel, you will vote. Do you know why? They have taken time to stop.
All right, let's move on to the next story now. This one is still minimum wage. The federal government has said it is ready to pay higher than 60,000 naira as minimum wage, urging organized labor to take the offer. It did not, however, state the specific amount. The figure was disclosed by the government late Monday after a meeting with the Nigerian Labor Council of the Federation. For the federal government of Nigeria, those who signed the statement was Mohammed Idris, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Honorable Nkiruka Onyejocha, and Minister of State for Labor and Employment. And for the organized labor, those who actually signed were Joe Ajero, President, Nigeria Labor Congress, and Festus Osifo, President, Trade Union Congress. Now, the statement reads partly, after exhaustive deliberation and engagement by both parties, the following resolutions were reached. Now, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, we're talking about the Federal Republic of Nigeria, yes, is committed to a national minimum wage that is higher than 60,000 naira, even though the amount wasn't mentioned. Arising from the above, the tripartite committee is to meet every day for the next 1 week with a view to arriving at sessions back and forth. I know we talked about the effects of the strike earlier, but now let's look at the fact that TC are supposed to revert to the organization and then come back. But now they said they'll get to meet every day for the next 1 week. What are your thoughts on these new developments?
Well, the thing is, Nigeria is a really funny country.
Why?
You know why I said so?
Tell us.
The new minimum wage, do you think it will put to an end industrial actions like strike in time to come? The answer is no. The solution to what we are going through does not lie in increment of minimum wage. I'm not against, very well, minimum wage has to be increased. It should be so.
Do you agree it affects the economy in any way?
Of course it does.
Okay, go on.
It does. Now, the point I was trying to make is, this cannot put to an end all these issues we are having. The whole thing will still boils down to enforcement and compliance, which I told you is one focal point or way or factor that can make Nigeria a better place. The federal government may agree. Why about the question is what is the reason for the strike? Is it not economic austerity? Is it not hike in price of fuel and other commodities in the market? If you say increase our money because the prices of things in the market are high, does that stop the prices of things in the market to drop? The answer is no. The moment the federal government signs this into law to say we have increased minimum wage, the seller, the tomato seller, will say, oh, civil servant now have money, let me also increase the price of my product. Will he put it to an end? The answer is no. Let me tell you one way Nigeria can attempt to come out from this. One way Nigeria can attempt to come out from this is enforcement and compliance. Life, and generally now, 90% of life boils down to transport, to fuel. Our survival boils down to fuel, petrol. True or false? We are here because there's petrol in the generator. NEPA too, they do other things because they have generator in their office. You don't know that NEPA have generator in the office. Let me inform you now. So now, how much has federal government pegged for price of fuel? Is that the amount that they are selling the fuel? The agencies that are in charge of compliance of price of regulation of price of fuel, are they working? Are they going from fleet station to fleet station as required by law to check or find out how much these fleet stations are selling their products? The answer is no. 2 weeks ago, I was in Abuja. I discovered in Abuja that they were selling fuel for 650 naira over there in Abuja. But when I came back to Port Harcourt, I found out that in Port Harcourt, they were selling fuel 750, 800 naira. And then I also found out recently, I think some days ago, the mobile fleet station at Garrison, it's selling the normal price, 650 naira, which they're also selling in Abuja. They are complying. And you see a long queue. Do you know there's queue there? There is queue there because the filling station is complying with the law.
Now, before we go on with...
No, I'm coming.
No, hold on.
Okay.
Before we continue with the solution and what the federal government should actually look at right now, let's not take away the fact that when there are so many problems on ground, it doesn't mean solving one of those problems will stop you from solving the others. And it doesn't mean that because you haven't solved the others, you should not solve this problem that is facing us. So while the federal government is trying to put an end to the increase in the price of fuel and then increase production and then give out loans for businesses so that we can export more than we import and all of those things that is going to help strengthen the naira, which will in turn help the economy of the country. What happened to also looking at the salary of these civil servants who some states have not even started paying the old minimum wage? So it definitely shows that even those people who you say are not working with the federal government or state government, those people who you say are not civil servants now, it will not take away the fact that these civil servants who are earning very little compared to what is going on in Nigeria are going to be dependent on these other people. So no matter how you see it, there is a ripple effect of the fact that these people are earning very little. And now even my heart is even going out to all of those people in those states who are yet to start even earning the previous minimum wage. So are you saying that it should take away looking at this particular problem?
You see, let me tell you, when you want to talk about solution to a problem, you don't say that you have cut down a tree by cutting the branches. If you want to get rid of a tree, what do? You tackle the tree from the roots, which is the source of life, and the tree goes and dies. But if you cut a branch and the root of the tree is still in the soil, what happens? The tree will continue to grow.
So what are you saying? That the government should take their eyes off increasing salaries first?
That's not what I'm saying.
So what are you saying?
My point is, you a worker, they are paying you 20,000, but your transportation, let's say 60,000 in a month. Your transportation from your house just to go, you are paying 1,000 naira.
And then they are paying you, hold on, they are paying you 20,000, still on that thought.
Okay.
Then they are paying you 20,000, and your transportation is 30-something thousand.
30-something
What
thousand.
happens to that?
Now, now, that is now to tell you that the problem of Nigeria should be major. Once they tackle petroleum issue, once petroleum issue is tackled, every other problem will be weak.
So what happens before petroleum issue is tackled? The people should keep earning as little as they are earning?
Let me tell you, if you are earning 400,000 and at the end of the day, you are spending just, out of 400,000, you are spending just 10,000 naira for transportation, you will be a better person than somebody who is earning 1.5 million in UK that is spending 1 million naira in a month. I don't know if you, I don't know how to make you to appreciate the point I'm making.
I'm trying to help you also appreciate the fact that you need to balance on both ends, right? If you say someone who is earning 100,000 naira is still affected and will still look like he's not earning anything, have you ever sat down to imagine the person who is earning 15,000 naira and all of that?
When you earn the jumbo salary, and the price of things in the market is above your expenses per day, that 400,000 naira is useless. That's the point I need you to appreciate.
Now, I asked you this question earlier to summarize all of these your points. What are you saying that the federal government, this conversation that is on now, should not be the conversation that should be on?
That's what I think. Because this conversation cannot put an end to the problem we have. The price of goods in the market that is not regulated will still continue to rise.
Okay.
And the more it rises, the more you spend, and the increment, the salary that is increased will still be useless. So what do? Tackle it from the root. There should be a mandatory enforcement of petroleum prices. If government is strict about it, and you know that you are buying a liter of fuel 650 naira. When you buy 650 naira, a driver will tell himself, okay, from Rumokro to my one, if I take 600 naira, it will cover up. And he start taking 600 naira from Rumokro to my one. it will bring down the
What
hardship.
other steps do you think can be taken? Because making sure that it is a uniform price and it's still over 600 naira is still on the high side.
Okay.
For a country that are the ones who are producing crude oil and have all of the resources that Nigeria
Yes.
has.
Apart from enforcement and compliance, which I'm still standing on, another factor that we can, consider to say this could also be basically helpful to us is the issue of the individuals. We, the citizens of this country, we also have a role to play, whether you like it or not. Being truthful to ourselves and being, obedient to the rules and regulations will also help us. You know that this thing is not wrong, this thing is not right, and you are going ahead to do it. You are not doing the correct thing. That's a burden of obedience placed on us as citizens. Those who are selling those high price of fuel, are they government? They are private individuals. So we also have to tell ourselves that, look, as individuals, we are ready to move forward. We have to take responsibility. Let it not be that government is not doing the right thing. Now, do you know that no government comes to blame voters in every election? Do you know why? Because every election, people make effort to vote out bad government. And that's why the government can rig, because they are fighting against the interests of the people. The people are saying, no, we have condemned you, leave. People are making effort. If you also make the same effort we make to vote out bad people, in making sure that morally, our moral conscience is alive to say, if I do this, if I do this thing this way, after what is provided, the common man in the street will suffer. He's my brother. That neighborhood principle is applied to say my actions of unfaithfulness to what is obtainable may affect my neighbor who does not have enough to eat. Let me restrict myself. You will be helping someone. So two things I have mentioned: enforcement and compliance with the laws on ground. Those who are the agencies involved in enforcing this law should be strict. And then we, the individuals, understanding that we also have a role to play. For instance, you are selling something like you produce from your farm. You have a farm, you produce a basin of garri. Because transportation is high, that's why you can buy a basin of garri for 28,000. That's why I told you, from the root, tackling from the root, every other problem will be weak.
Even that, the price being 600 and something thousand and it being uniform and enforced is still not the root of the matter.
It's not the root of the matter.
Exactly. So if you're saying that should be handled, which you agree is not the root of the matter, then minimum wage, which is also not the root of the matter, should not be handled.
No. Is that 650 is not the root of the matter, not on the ground that regulating and checkmating filling stations on how they sell this thing is not the root of the matter, but the price, which can change at any time, may not really be the root of the matter, but enforcement of the price at the particular time
yes, of course,
is the root of the matter.
That is also something that
once you tackle it, you tackle the issue.
It doesn't change the fact that when you want to trace it to the root of the matter, you'll be going really far. You go down to we having functional refineries. You go down to, we producing our own fuel here and making sure, and that definitely is going to drastically reduce the price. There's no how we'll be producing our own fuel here. I don't think it will be possible for us to be buying fuel at 600 or something.
Now you are coming to my direction. It still boils down to petroleum. You are coming to my directions.
We've always been on the same team. So we've always been on the same direction ever since. This is Atlantic Television Network and this is ATN Blowout. We've been having an interesting conversation in the studio here. The show definitely continues. We look at the next story now. This one will definitely put smiles on some people's faces. Let's get to find out. In order to further strengthen its crusade against the abuse of the Naira, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, as the EFCC, has announced a 5% reward for whistleblowers who provide credible information leading to the prosecution of offenders. Dele Oyewole, spokesman of the EFCC, disclosed this as a guest on the EFCC, a particular event with newsmen yesterday. Now, Oyewole emphasized the Commission's commitments to enforcing the law and protecting the economy from the negative impact of the Naira abuse. We're going to do everything possible to make sure that our Naira is protected. He explained that the 5% 5% reward was aimed at encouraging whistleblowers to come forward with information that would aid in the prosecution of offenders. Now, listen to this. There's a reward if you report anyone spraying the naira. This is whistleblowing. The Whistleblowing Act offers 5% reward of whatever amount that is involved to whoever offers credible information that can stand the rigor of prosecution and not derived from malice and mischief. You know, he had to state that because some Nigerians or some people can be very funny. He added that the EFCC had already secured nearly 50 convictions across the country since the inception of the task force on naira abuse and dollarization. The FCC spokesman emphasized that rejecting the naira as a legal tender was a criminal offense, also adding that those found guilty would face the full wrath of the law, while noting that the commission was working tirelessly to nairalize the economy as the widespread use of foreign currencies was detrimental to the country's economic growth. A lot of points stated here, down from whistleblowing for naira abuse, down to rejecting the naira, down to the very last part now where he stated that if you the nairalizing the economy, that a lot of people are using foreign currencies and that is actually affecting the naira. But let's go to the very first point that he stated now about the 5% for anyone who comes to report an event of somebody abusing the naira.
The EFCC, I think this thing is just a mere shadow chasing.
Why? Why do you
and
say
leaving
so?
the substance.
What is the substance?
The substance is fighting corruption.
Okay.
And not this thing they are doing here.
So they should allow the naira to be abused.
Let me tell you what are they talking about? A naira that does not have value anymore.
Why will you say that?
No, I'm saying
that the naira does not have any value at all.
I'm coming. You see,
come please.
Appreciating practical issues.
Okay.
Matters. You are protecting the value of the naira. When 1 naira is not in existence in the market, it's only existence in the head to say we have 1 naira. But in the market, 1 naira is not in existence. You are protecting a currency that if you go to market, if they are paid salary today, just like Lebo is talking about, you go to market, your salary may finish at that point that you go home, maybe at the rest of the month, you are hungry, you are done. Now in America, in Western countries, do you know why they cannot publicly come to begin to spray their currency?
Why?
The reason is because their currency, there is value. That value is not because there's a law that says don't do this. You can't just bring out $1,000 and go and spray somebody. You know what it means. You know the amount we are talking about. Can you bring?
Do you know how much people are spraying in parties?
Over there.
Is it about the amounts that they are spraying?
Hold on, over there.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
You said, do you know how much $1,000? Do you know how many people spray that? That's the equivalent of naira in the past. Is that the point?
That's the angle I'm coming from. Now, I still maintain that this is a shadow chasing. We have files of corruption, people to prosecute. Even if you blow your whistle and they arrest somebody, at the end of the day, they will enter plea bargain. There wouldn't be any proper prosecution. I can't just pick my phone now and call EFCC, somebody is spraying naira. These are mere shadow chasing. The substance is there. Go to the substance and nobody will come and abuse the naira. If you do the right thing, nobody will abuse the naira. Do you know how many files, how many cases? We have a case in EFCC where somebody came and collected money from people in the name of Forest, Pomzi. You know, people gave billions of naira.
Before we go on to the other cases,
from that day till today, what has happened?
Okay,
we are talking about
before we go on to the other cases, you raised a point, right, which you have been explaining since you started analysis on this particular story. You said if the naira had value, right?
Yes.
People would protect and respect it. You won't see people spraying the naira anyhow. Okay, should we go back to the history of spraying in parties?
Yeah.
You would agree that once upon a time, the value of the naira is not the same as it is today.
Yes.
So are you telling me that back then there was no spraying of the naira in parties?
Do you have any evidence to?
So and you're trying to be a lawyer now. You're not answering the question. That is the question. You don't answer a question with a question. Are you trying to say that back then, or are you trying to say we just started spraying in parties today?
Well, we started spraying in parties
Today,
when Naira lost. I'm asking you a question.
That is not true.
When Naira lost its value.
That is not true, and you know it.
Okay, give me an answer.
No, you don't ask me questions. I do the asking here.
Okay, you do
Yes, exactly. So you're just trying to be, I don't know what to call it now, a lawyer. Let me put it that way.
No, I'm not.
No, you're saying I should give you evidence. That's why I said you're trying to be a lawyer. Nothing else aside that. Okay. So saying that there were no spraying back then is not true. If you said I should give you evidence, even though I'm not supposed to be answering your questions, I would have played a video for you back then. All we need to do is to go online. You don't need to go so far. So saying that people are abusing the Naira because Naira has lost value doesn't have value. There's no value in that statement.
Okay.
Yes, saying that people are abusing Naira. So the Naira, but if you say, according to that particular story, it was stated that we're going to Nairalize the economy, we're going to make sure that we have less people using foreign currencies, even though you cannot completely take that out, in order for us to strengthen the Naira. And that was also stated by the EFCC. So I didn't see you going to that direction.
Now, that statement by EFCC boils down to the issue of lack of value of the Naira. If the Naira has value, they cannot be taking all those steps to make sure that the value of Naira increases. It's simple. You ready?
Of course.
That's what we are saying. And I'm now telling you that the reaping effect of the loss of value of Naira is abuse.
But we cannot say that people should be allowed to keep abusing the Naira.
Yes,
just
I'm not
also saying
that
either.
I am not.
From your explanation, it looks like you're looking at that direction.
No. I'm trying to first of all lay a foundation of why these things are happening. I'm not against.
That's grammar.
I'm not against.
We're looking at your explanation. That's grammar.
I'm not against the EFCC doing that. But what I'm saying is they are merely chasing shadow while the substance is there. I'm in practice. I have matters against EFCC. I have a lot of things to do EFCC.
So that is the matter now.
I am now telling you my observations over time. If you blow the whistle and you arrest somebody, they arrest somebody. At the end of the day, they will do plea bargain. And the person may just say, okay, the court will just say, okay, instead of 5 years, we have agreed that this person fulfills so let him now go.
That's if we agree that person should make some payments.
If this person with the money has been forfeited, sprayed has forfeited, instead of 6 months imprisonment, this person should just go to prison, so and so. They call to now instead of 6 months, which if enforced that 6 months, do you understand? Other people, that law enforcement will now become a deterrent to other people from, abusing the Naira. But because you cannot carry out a full-blown prosecution against offenders, there will always be more offense.
We have had cases of the EFCC carrying out that prosecution against offenders. You cannot say, okay, let's take a look at Bobrisky now. Bobrisky was arrested.
Let me tell you my understanding of the prosecution of Bobrisky.
Okay, your understanding.
My understanding. My understanding of prosecution of Bobrisky is to use Bobrisky as an example. But not that the energy used in prosecuting Bobrisky will be maintained. You are not in Nigeria.
But you talked about giving examples and making sure that the people
that's what we are
follow.
saying now. That's what we are saying. When you set example, will you continue to follow the example?
Okay.
So people, my advice today, let me not appear as somebody who is on the other side of your view. My advice
here. It's not about the two of us here. Yes, we have viewers who
yes,
are also
my advice is people should stop abusing the Naira by spraying it, because the Naira is our identity. The Naira is the dignity
also,
of
you agree
Nigeria.
finally.
We agree. But if the Naira is our identity and our dignity, and we agree on that, then both the government especially, should do well to dignify the Naira.
Okay.
They should do well to dignify the Naira. A lot of things are going wrong in Nigeria. All these things are mere shadow chasing. The substance of our problem is staring on our face, and we are scared of confronting it. All these things are mere window dressing. You just dress the window while the other side is careless. That's all.
So what is the substance of our problem that we're taking our eyes off?
The substance of our problem is doing the right thing by complying with the relevant laws.
Okay.
We don't do that. We don't.
All right, would agree that one of the ways to dignify the naira, like Barrister has said here, is to make sure that production is increased in the country, and then we have more to export, then less to import, right? Now let's look at this next story. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, said the federal government will make available credit facilities up to 1 billion naira at the 9% interest rate to businesses, including manufacturers. Now, Edun has disclosed this in an interview with newsmen. And also, the minister said that the current administration recognizes the challenge of entrepreneurs to access of affordable funds for their business. Hence, this initiative. He said small-scale entrepreneurs can get up to 1 million naira in credit facility, while larger businesses can access up to 1 billion naira at 9% interest rate, which is cheaper than the current interest rate of 26.25% recommended to commercial banks by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, Edun has said in his words, and I quote, the emphasis is on ramping up food production. The emphasis is on dealing with food nutrition and food insecurity. He also said, likewise, the emphasis is on helping small-scale businesses through grants and nano enterprises through grant funding. That is being rolled out, and it's being done in a manner which, as I said before, is a world-class standard, where you identify biometrically the person that is beneficiary and you pay them through a digital process which you can easily reconcile. The minister also assured Nigerians that food prices, I like this part, that food prices will come down in the coming months. This is an assurance. Okay, this is a typical Nigerian in the studio now, nodding to everything that the minister has said and doing signs like this, which is typical of a Nigerian. Yes, tell us, what are your thoughts on this story?
You cannot agree that it still boils down to what I said earlier.
Okay.
Everything, our problem is, last night when I was going through certain things online, I asked myself, what is really the problem of Nigeria? And one thing I just told myself is that the problem of Nigeria is a Gordon knot. It's not nothing other than a Gordon knot. What is a Gordon knot?
Go on and tell
a Gordon knot, it's that thing that seems, that problem that seems so big and does not have solution. Whereas the solution is just a little step you will take and is with you there, but you cannot easily identify it. It's actually this term actually emanated from Alexander the Great. When Alexander the Great untied the Gordon knot. Maybe later I can give you the full gist. I don't want to go into that because of time, but by your permission, if you say I should go out.
No, just continue your explanation. That's just an example.
So now our problem appears big, but it's very small. You see, let me tell you the truth. Those who are in government, they know what to do to make this nation a better place. They know. Don't think they don't know. They know.
You agree they are taking steps in that direction?
Well, you know, what we have majorly in Nigeria is paper tiger.
These loans are available.
That's what we are saying. The question is, what is the mode of assessment of this loan? This is a fine initiative. It's a welcome development. I cherish it because this is how it ought to be, and this is what we have in other better countries.
Come on with the but.
So now, but
okay. The
issue is, how can an ordinary man who is looking for a way to survive access this loan? Those who are to disburse this loan.
He said he has told us that their biometrics will be used.
Biometrics to be used?
Will be used.
Okay, you and I are in this country, isn't it? When it will kick off?
Are we in the U.S.?
No, you and I are in this country.
Go on.
So if they say, let me not preempt them, let me not say further in respect of this, so that I don't preempt anybody and then discourage people. But what I can say is that you and I are in this country to see how this will go.
Now, we also have the students' loan that the government told us about, and you know, a lot of Nigerians also came out to say, how will these loans be accessible? Is it going to be accessible to these students? Well, we had reports that thousands of students have already accessed the loans.
Where are they?
Where are they? So you feel they are portfolio students?
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Okay.
Thousands of students have accessed the loan.
Yeah.
how many students are, for instance, in River State, I've not seen in social media or anywhere where anybody says, I have accessed this loan.
So you feel that's not a true statement? That's not a statement of fact, that's what you feel?
For it's a statement of fact because it's a fact. Okay. But of truth, I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
Yes.
And that's because it was stated by the government, or you're not sure because you have done your research?
No, because I have not seen. Is it not when somebody
But it's
sees...
not like you've done your research and you found out that it's not true.
Let me tell you, goodwill is like a gold that shines. It doesn't hide. If the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, implements student loan, and as we speak, people have accessed that loan, you and I, we know the clamor. We know Nigerians. Nigerians don't hide. You will see it everywhere. That look, oh, this loan is going on.
So let's look at your recommendations now. Since you have stated this could be one of the problems that this particular move might face, let's look at your recommendations on how it should be curbed to avoid issues of people having problems with the actual people now this is meant for, having challenges with accessing the loans. They have already outlined the means upon which the loan could be assessed. Biometrics, isn't it? If they can go by that in good faith, it will work. The challenge here now is, will they do it in good faith? So your argument is not on the process that will be taken. Your argument is the personalities and the individuals that are involved or in charge of this move. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So what I would like you to recommend something now concerning that particular issue, because the problem that you have stated. There has to be a follow-up. Go on. There has to be a proper investigation of documentaries and reports. Those who are saddled with the responsibility of disbursing the loan, according to how they have the initiative they are using to disburse it, there should be a proper record of how many people, who and who, outside the relatives of those in charge. And then the record should be made public. Oh, outside the relatives? Outside the relatives. Because can you go over that again? See what, let me tell you what will happen to this money. This is a big money. Now, how many businessmen do you have, let's say, in South, that their businesses are capable enough or have the competence to apply for a loan of 1 billion? That's for the larger business. Yes, now, how many larger businesses do we have owned by people from this side? I'm telling you the things. It's not hold on. You hold on. It's not just for the large scale now. Let's not forget we have the nano. I'm coming now. It was mentioned. I'm coming to where you are. And then small scale businesses. I'm coming to where you are. I'm coming to where you are. No, you're coming to that part, not where I am. You don't know where I am. Go on, please. Okay. Now, that larger scale, how many people can access it? Only people who have larger business. That's correct, to encourage mass production and increase our, all the rest. Now, the small loan, those who are saddled with the responsibility, if only they can carry out their functions in good faith, to say whether you are my relative or not, whether I know you or I don't know you, but let the common man, let this goodwill travel down to the common man by saying everything should be on merit. As you apply, they check the conditions of your application, whether you've met the requirements. Which provisions are there for that already? Yes. Once you meet the requirements, they approve your loan and you get it. It should be something that as you are holding your iPad, you can apply, put your requirement, and at the end of the day, that which they promise to do happens. That's when we can say, okay, transparency. It should be, the process should be transparent. Okay. It should be in good faith. If there's transparency in what they are doing, and there's good faith in enforcing it or implementing it, nobody will have any reason to condemn it. You will see that people will come both on social media and everywhere and even commend the person who is in charge of disbursing that to say, this person has done well. And it will go down to his record. Tomorrow when he comes out for any elected position, people will remember him for this. When he was in charge of so and so thing, the thing was transparent. They will know him for transparency. The challenge is transparency and good faith. My
later.
Okay, so that's where I was expecting you to land. That's with recommendations, since you already stated possible problems that could happen with that one. But thank you very much. Let's move on to the last story now. The transmission company of Nigeria, TCN, said it is working on restoring the national grid, which was shut down following an industrial action by the Trade Union Congress and the Nigeria Labour Congress, as well as their affiliate associations. The shutdown has resulted in a nationwide blackout. TCN spokesman Ndidi Mba, in a statement on Monday, said the national grid shutdown occurred at 2:19 a.m. same day, adding that we will continue to make effort to recover and stabilize the grid and enable the restoration of the national normal bulk transmission of electricity to distribution load centers nationwide. And he added that at 1:15 a.m., the Benin transmission operator under the Independent System Operations Unit of TCN reported that all operations were driven away from the control room. According to him, the staff that resisted were beaten, while some were wounded in the course of being forced out of the control room without any form of control or supervision. The Benin Area Control Center was brought to zero. Mba disclosed that other transmission substations shut down by the labor union include the Gambo, Benin Ade, and a lot of others that were mentioned in this story. In his words, and I quote, some transmission lines were equally open due to the ongoing activities of the labor union, he stated. Look at this particular story now. On the power generating side, he said the power generating units from different generating stations were forced to shut down some units of their generating plants. And according to him, the Jeba generating station was forced to shut down one of its generating units also, while 3 others in the same substation subsequently shut down due to very frequent high frequency. All right, let's take a look at your perspective to the story. Look at what happened to those men who were on duty now because of the strike. You know, when we started, we talked about the effects of the strike, and this is also one of the effects that we had on regarding the strike. Yes, your thoughts on this story?
Well, my take on this is, like I said earlier, that when you are doing a thing, confine yourself within the scope of what you are doing. Electricity is a basic need. It's basic. Light is basic. Now, shutting down electricity because of industrial action, for me, I really think that they went beyond their scope. The reason is, if you say you are fighting for my welfare, do you need to take away my welfare to fight for my welfare? The answer is no. There are lives that survive on electricity. There are people in the hospitals who are currently on machines that is regulated through electricity. And some of those hospitals, their generators, they do not have enough petrol to carry out, to ensure steady functions or regulations of those machines. And the power of those machines are so much that it's only NEPA, or sorry, the electricity that can take care of it. So if you now take off the electricity, how do we reconcile these issues, the effect of it? So now electricity being another sector that is provided by another law, not provided in the Trade Union Act, and you are now going on strike on that basis, how do we look at it? How do we look at it? Life depends on this thing. You ought not to go to that extent. If I don't go to war, there is strike everywhere, things are happening. I should be able to be looking at my television to know what is going on, isn't it? To know whether we are staying or we are not staying. So, but now taking the whole thing away, you are taking the people's right to life. Electricity is part of people's right to life. Even though our fundamental right jurisprudence has not grown to the point that we can now say that those basic amenities that are attached to life are part of our right to life. India, that's what is happening in India. They have grown to that point that they tell you that light is life, it's part of right to life. And here too, we are also growing to that point. But taking away that thing that gives life, can you say you are fighting for my life? I don't buy into. They shouldn't go to that extent. Anything that is basic to the survival of anyone, including them, they should be very, very circumspect in taking actions that may affect that thing.
But those actions that they actually took yesterday has made the federal government to further increase the price that they had stated earlier, and they have called them now for another talk.
Now, what if you hear a report tomorrow that somebody has died as a result of lack of life or treatment? How do we justify that? I'm not saying they should not strike. Try to understand my point. I'm not saying there shouldn't be strike. Strike is, like I say, is part of our, is constitutional and democratic for workers to go on strike. But try as much as possible to a kind of reconcile what you are striking for and the basic things that add value to life of the people you are fighting for their welfare.
All right. As much as we would love to continue this conversation, we've come to that point in time where we need to wrap things up because time is no longer on our side. But we must appreciate our guests today. Thank you so much, Barrister Victor, for joining us today on ATN Blowout.
Thank you.
We hope to have you some other time.
Thank you.
And your analysis, your amazing analysis on the show. And we must say big thanks to you for being a part of this conversation. We hope you had an amazing time with us. Join us tomorrow again, same time, for another mind-blowing conversation on ATN Blowout. But don't forget to stay connected with us on all of ATN socials on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, on X at Atlantic TV Net, and watch us live on our website at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you once again for watching. I am Enidoye Jackson. Coming up next is Open Conversation with Lauren Shah. Please stay with us.